Gold prospectors climbed the Chilkoot Pass to reach the Klondike goldfields, Alaska, 1898. An Indian elephant used by German soldiers for the front, World War I, 1915. Paris, France, 1943. Amidst the height of World War II, a researcher at the Museum of Natural History examines an ancient Peruvian mummy, proving that science endures, even during the occupation. A copper mask for a war participant, created in an era when plastic surgery was not yet known, 1918. 1855, ad inviting the wealthy to a slave fair to buy humans. Lavender Panthers, a radical militarized gay group that existed in San Francisco in 1973. The group aimed to defend LGBT rights with arms, as the police were inactive, and attacks on gays and transvestites were rarely investigated. On the ruins of the Brest Fortress, 1961. French Catholic clergy in Dijon burning an effigy of Santa Claus in front of children in protest against the pagan Christmas, 1951. The armored Mercedes-Benz of the president of Ingushetia after an assassination attempt by the Russians, 2005. This roller coaster was designed specifically to end one's life painlessly and easily. According to the creator's design, it can be used for humane capital punishment. A little girl from the Philippines was displayed in the Coney Island Zoo with animals. She was placed among monkeys and lizards, tied with ropes, and people were allowed to throw peanuts at her, 1914. The last known living Barbary lion, shot in the Moroccan Atlas Mountains in 1922, now extinct in the wild. Teaching Papuans how to use condoms, Papua, Indonesia, 1960s. A Christmas gift giver traffic controller, Barcelona, 1970. The tradition of giving gifts to traffic controllers during Christmas was widespread throughout Europe, especially loved and followed in Spain. Police used tear gas during riots in the illegal settlement of Rotterdam, South Africa. People are protesting the destruction of their homes, 1977. In 1939, mills in the United States began shipping flour in colorful sacks. This was done so that the poor could later sew clothes from the sackcloth. Egyptians watching the airship Graf Zeppelin flying over the pyramids of Giza, 1931. Girls learning golf using a mechanical trainer, 1925. FBI photo montage created in 1945 in case Hitler tried to escape by changing his appearance. In the 18th century, admission to the exotic animal collection at the Tower of London cost either a penny and a half or a cat or dog. They were used to feed the lions. The musicians who played on the Titanic until the very end, 1912. When seatbelts in racing were not yet mandatory, 1950s. Weighing the Soul, USA, 1907. American biologist and physician Duncan McDougall proved the existence of the soul by weighing a person before and after death. It turned out that the soul weighs 21 grams. Dubai in 1985 and 2016. World Championship of Sitting on a Pole, Netherlands, 1971. Between 1932 and 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service conducted a study in which 399 African Americans were intentionally infected with syphilis. East German soldier helps a little boy sneak across the Berlin Wall, 1961. Small, large, and ugly people who were exhibited as human curiosities to the paying public in the United States, 1932. Joseph Stalin smiles after signing the Non-Aggression Pact between Germany and the Soviet Union, 1939. American military operation Rolling Thunder. U.S. pilots flew 304,000 combat missions, dropping nearly 8 million tons of bombs on Vietnam. Harvey Ball, the man who invented the smiley face. Annette Kellerman demonstrates a women's swimsuit in 1907. She would later be arrested for indecency. Chinese mobile phone market, China, 2001. Serbs gathered in the church in the town of Glina by the Ustash for extermination under the pretext of converting to Catholicism. Glina Massacre, 1941. Hitler inspects the Schwerer Gustav cannon weighing over 1,350 tons, 1941. Bronze memorial to 82 children killed in the village of Lidice, former Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic. 42 girls and 40 boys died in a gas chamber in Chełmno, the first German death camp designed specifically for mass killings. Suffragette force-fed during hunger strike, Holloway Prison, UK, 1911. A shocking photo from the women's voting rights movement. A rally in support of Hitler's political ideas. Photo from 1937. This rally is considered one of the largest in history. 8 years later, in 1945, many participants would claim they never supported Hitler. 1865 portrait of Brigham Young, second president of the Church of Latter-day Saints, founder of Salt Lake City and the first governor of Utah. Young had 57 children with 56 different wives. The Archatico Bridge in Greece, built during the Mycenaean civilization from the 16th to 11th centuries BCE, is one of the oldest arch bridges in the world and the oldest bridge in Europe. A temporary morgue at the Seguro Social Baseball Stadium in Mexico. One of the most destructive earthquakes in American history occurred in 1985, killing 10,000 people and injuring 30,000. Chinese people celebrate the successful test of the first atomic bomb, 1964. A police bulletproof vest variant for the police, Germany, 1930. Spanish flu pandemic, 1918. It claimed around 100 million lives worldwide. People were terrified of this devastating disease. The last puff of a young man about to be buried alive by Japanese soldiers in Nanjing, China, 1938. One of medicine's greatest moments, Toronto, 1922. Doctors Banting and Best injected insulin into children dying of diabetic comas. One by one, they woke up. To ensure the cure remained accessible to everyone, the scientists sold the patent for just $1. Native Alaskans play the game Nulukatuk. 1965. The trampoline was invented by Eskimos to spot whales during hunting as early as possible. They used a stretched walrus skin which could throw them to a height of almost 4 floors. St. Nicholas Parade in Austria. St. Nicholas rides a white horse while Krampuses warn children to behave. The first strip club in London, 1958. Mobile confession, presumably USA, 1940s. Pablo Escobar inside one of his cash vaults. Legend has it he spent $2,500 a month just on rubber bands to hold his money together. Colombia, 1982. A diver, after inspecting the interior of the sunken battleship Arizona, the day of the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941. A Dutch riddle from Wubby. To answer the question of where the fifth pig was hiding, one had to correctly fold the picture along the indicated lines. German Lieutenant General of Infantry Anton Dostler tied to a post before execution, 1945. A Red Cross nurse records the last words of a British soldier, World War I, 1917. The oddest censorship, women were forbidden from exposing their legs in the early 20th century. This led to beach inspectors actually measuring the length of their swimsuits. Bern University rejected Albert Einstein for a professorship, stating, "Your theory seems interesting, but more like art than science." A 19th century gun for hunting waterfowl, capable of killing around 50 birds with one shot. Albert Einstein's desk, photographed just hours after his death, 1955. Children's reaction to a happy ending at a theater play, 1963. A method of restraining a mentally ill person in a British asylum to prevent them from hurting themselves during an hysterical fit, 1950. The 1950s. A woman using Wilhelm Reich's orgone accumulator, a pseudoscientific device claimed to collect life energy and cure radiation sickness. Regardless of its scientific merit, it was certainly beneficial. As one husband remarked, his wife sits silently in that box for 4 hours every day. Crime reporter Vlado Teneski reported on serial murders in Macedonia, crimes he had actually committed. Police caught him because he published details only the killer would know. After DNA confirmed his guilt, he was found dead in his cell, his head in a bucket of water. A herd of elephants before mass extermination truly meant a herd. Photo taken in 1976 in Africa. Chimpanzee Jiggs shares the boredom of a shooting day with actress Dorothy Lamour, 1938. March on Washington, 1963. During this event, Martin Luther King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. As a result of the march, the U.S. government abolished segregation and granted African Americans equal voting rights as whites. A Dutch woman with her head shaved and smeared with tar, punished for relations with Germans. She is being punished by those who capitulated in 5 days but found the courage to take revenge on their women. Amsterdam, 1945. An elderly Hungarian woman and 3 children are sent to the gas chambers at Auschwitz, 1944. The photo shows electricians Randall Champion and J.D. Thompson. They were conducting repair work when Randall was struck by an electric shock. More than 4,000 volts passed through his body, instantly stopping his heart. Thompson rushed to help and performed CPR. Randall's life was saved. This legendary photo is insane. The girl is Chinese partisan Cheng Ben-hua, the men are Japanese soldiers. The night before, they raped Cheng, and immediately after the photo session, they stabbed her with bayonets. Cheng Ben-hua became a symbol of China's resistance to Japanese aggression and a model of endurance and astonishing courage for the whole world. Geisha Delivery Service, Japan, 1901. This is a harvest festival in Indonesia. Locals dig up their deceased relatives from their graves and then bury them back into the ground after the festival. The release of one of Microsoft's most iconic operating systems, Windows 95. Albanians flee to Italy in March 1991. Western Europe learned what a mass influx of refugees was for the first time in many years. At that time, more than 20,000 Albanians unexpectedly arrived at the Italian port of Brindisi. In 1941, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, anti-Japanese hysteria swept the U.S. Here is waitress Ruth Lee, born in America. Fearing she'd be mistaken for Japanese, she sunbathed on the beach alongside a Chinese flag. The explosion of a boiler in a steam locomotive, one of the many scourges of the 19th century. Despite strict regulations for boiler safety and maintenance, they exploded frequently, making the machinist's job not only hard but also dangerous. Former prisoners of the German concentration camp demonstrate the torture methods they endured. Germany, 1945. This case shocked France. In 1876, Blanche Monnier from Poitiers fell in love with a poor lawyer, but her mother opposed the marriage. After an argument, the girl disappeared. No one suspected that she was locked in an attic for 25 years by her mother. When the police arrived after a neighbor's report, Blanche weighed only 55 pounds. In 1968, for the first time in history, a woman lit the Olympic flame. In the photo, Mexican runner Ketty Basilio. Betty Page, a popular pinup model of the 1950s, became fascinated with religion at the end of her career, which affected her mental health. In 1972, she was admitted to a psychiatric hospital after attacking her family with a knife, believing they did not pray hard enough. She was discharged several times but returned again. At 54, she attacked her neighbor, claiming that God sent her to kill. From then on, she remained in the hospital until 1992. In 1931, the Bulu tribe of Cameroon, upon learning of the Great Depression in the U.S., raised $377 to help starving American families. It is their desire to help that is noteworthy, not the meager sum. 1942. This is how Disney's Bambi was animated, by hand, frame by frame. Greta Buzel, a trained nurse, was a guard at Ravensbrück and as Arbeitseinsatzführerin helped select women for the gas chamber. A Dora Mittelbau camp prisoner shows an American soldier the camp crematorium. Riots, 1960, Tokyo. In those years, Japan witnessed mass student group protests. The main demand was the closure of U.S. military bases. Back in the 15th century, moose were used as mounts in the Swedish army. Meanwhile, in Russia, a decree banned riding moose in cities because they kept knocking people over. Corporal Adil Sahin and Lieutenant Hall, the last living Turkish and Australian participants of the Battle of Gallipoli, at the very spot where they tried to kill each other 75 years before this meeting, 1990. While on the North African front of World War II, German tankers developed a tradition of driving over piles of camel dung for luck. Seeing this, the British made anti-tank mines disguised as these piles. After several mines exploded, the Germans started avoiding untouched piles of dung. The British then made mines that looked like piles of dung with tracks of tanks having already driven over them. A woman on the right is presenting a plastic protective bra for women working in munitions factories, USA, 1943. It was believed that it protected against radiation and other harmful substances. This is not sodomy, but a patient at an orthopedic appointment. Stunned by the beauty he saw, the orthopedist grabbed a piece of metal with his right hand while doing something unclear with the other. Fish sale, halibut catch, Netherlands, 1913. Marie Azelie Hadel, the last Hadel to own Whitney Plantation and one of her enslaved housegirls. Adolf Hitler signs a document at the beginning of the war with Poland, 1939. 1960s hairstyles on American women. Soviet border guards before execution. Brest, World War II, 1941. Testifying against the mob in open court, a high-stakes moment in the USA, 1933. Bear treatment for back pain, Romania, 1946. A Dallas police officer holds the rifle that, according to the investigation, was used to kill John Kennedy, 1963. During World War I, cats were kept in trenches to warn of gas attacks in advance. During World War II, they were taken aboard submarines as live air quality detectors. A police photo of an arrested girl for non-traditional sexual orientation, USA, 1940. Sparked a reaction. Whether good or bad, I'd love to read your comments below. Get ready for the next installment very soon. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out. Catch you later.